Hey all, and welcome back to Disco Elysium, where we just spoke to this scab leader, and we're still looking around the harbour. It says GRIH, that's Greater Revachol Industrial Harbour, I believe. The lorries probably stored fuel here. Now they store booze. I don't think we can go in here yet, right? These lorries or...
Lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Gööd-made machine is well kept for such an old machine.
These trucks or lorries, they look kind of alien and cool too, right? At the same time, like big industrial machines. I'm not entirely sure what Gööd is coded as in this game. For a while I thought it was like either Russia or the Soviet Union, but I think there's some points later in the game where it's also like, maybe it's closer to Holland. I'm not sure. I'm gonna stick with Soviet Union with that assumption for now.
The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia.
What kind of stickers?
The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels.
That's that sounds pretty fashy. That's also a thing, right? Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity. That these like highly political buzzwords with very clear histories and parallels in real-world politics are used all the time in like fantasy, sometimes sci-fi, mostly fantasy scenarios and other fictional stories. But they're never put in any political context, right? They're just like devoid from their histories or whatever. They're used for orcs, for example, in the Warcraft universe, in World of Warcraft, for instance. Like one of the slogans of the orcs is blood and honor, which is literally a Nazi slogan. But in the game it's like, it's both like celebrated as something positive and also as something like, since the orcs are kind of have an underdog flair towards the Alliance, right? So almost like the rallying cry of the underdogs, who are like still honoring tradition and whatnot. And I've always that's always kind of irked me. I mean, obviously the orcs aren't otherwise necessarily coded as fascists, but just the like uncritical use of that slogan was like always weird to me. What about the back seat?
The back end of the cabin is a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains.
Right.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy.
Oh, this guy who's like around here somewhere.
Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
Maybe we can talk to him about it.
He was acting tough before. This probably scared him a bit. Who knows when it will come in handy? A slightly scared, racist lorryman.
Slightly scared, but very racist lorryman. We do have a skill point. I'm wondering whether I should keep that for when I want to repeat a check. It's usually good to have like 1 or 2 skill points handy for that kind of stuff. But I do want to level up my shivers a bit more, till at least like 10 or so. Because I want to get all that extra shivers dialogue. Thank you very much. Well, there's money too. 51 cents. Yeah, before I go down further here, I think I'm gonna go into the harbour, talk to
Scab?
Manana there. Call me Manana which of course means call me tomorrow. Which is kind of an interesting name. Asks a man with jolly eyes tilting his head. Mañana's cool. I've always liked him. But since we are going for the fascist playthrough here, I mean, this is more the ultra-liberal option, right? What exactly is a scab? I'm not a scab, I'm a cop.
Good one, officer. Don't worry. We here have solidarity with the RCM.
Do you now? I'm always wondering, like, I've always been wondering whether the Union guys here, like, a lot of them don't seem outwardly antagonistic to the RCM, right? Of course, the Hardy Boys and some others are. But some of them really aren't, and I'm wondering whether that's just rhetoric, whether they just wanna, you know, not get into trouble with us while not really cooperating at the same time, or if there really is like a rift in the Union or whatever.
Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money. Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the Wild North? Come to see the strife?
I mean, that's exactly what a scab is. Right? I'm exploring. I'm a bit short on money right now. Can you give me some of it?
Sure thing, my friend. I can help you out.
Let it fall to the ground. Should I even try? Yeah.
The coin narrowly slips by your outstretched fingers and falls to the ground.
So so we don't catch it.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw it like that. It's a thing we harbor folk do, passing around cargo and such.
Alright.
It was not meant as provocation or ridicule.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi picks up the coin and hands it to you.
I almost had a heart attack.
I'm really sorry, friend. Fritz nearby. Get some Nosafed. Good stuff. Helps against heart attacks, too.
I need to know what's behind these gates. I'm exploring.
My friend, I respect the right to roam.
Right to roam.
The open range awaits.
Right. Gazes over the roundabout with a glint of longing. And obviously he's like... I mean, he has the beret, the red one, and the longish hair, which reminds a little bit of Che Guevara, right? But also he's obviously either like Latin American or Spanish coded, which, I mean, obviously those things don't exist in this world, but similar things do. Does this mean you can let me through the gate?
I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
That's simple, I just walk in.
Aye. Walk right past Measurehead and go in. Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semenese supremacist there.
Oh, that guy.
Walk right past him.
He points to the bridge above the gates.
Then press the button to unlock the door. Then go past him again. And you enter the arbor through the office. Stop.
Seems easy enough.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation.
I think I'll do that.
Or you could convert to a Semenese supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible. Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong.
That's so.
Nothing a couple of solid hooks from Dexter and Sinister won't fix.
That's Dexter and Sinister.
Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure.
I've come to Martinez investigating a murder.
Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder.
It's actually very fun and easy.
I don't believe you. Post L'Aventurier said the same thing. They tried to get me to be their postman. So fun, so easy, they said. It's just walking. It wasn't. I'm doing much better here at the harbor. Being an honest union man with a lot of free time on his hands.
What's this strike about anyway?
You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
Gotcha. So if we talk to him, we can come back to you and talk more.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss and are on a better footing with the organization.
Alright, let's see what's going on here. So, a notice, in the case of a strike, press button behind guard. A hermetically sealed door locked by electronic means. I can't get that open. So, looking monolithic. The future belongs to Measurehead. For the longest time when I was playing this the first time, I thought like we need to get past Measurehead and press that button to actually open the harbour gates down here, right? And that in turn would like let the scabs in and everything. But obviously what this does, like be it besting Measurehead and then pressing the button, is just open this door. So, which allows us to get into the harbour. There's two ways of getting into the harbour, right? Or get to Evrad, that is. That's one is through this door, and another one is like climbing up to this roof and then jumping down on this side. But in order to climb up on this roof, we need to find like the hidden entrance to Kuno's shack, which is perception, I think, and we don't have high perception at all. So we do have a decent amount of physical instrument though, so maybe we can best Measurehead, and I think there's a third option which rests on conceptualization, and that option is to talk to him and adopt his Semenese supremacist worldview. Let's talk to Measurehead then.
Nobody betrays your degeneracy.
That's I mean, obviously Measurehead is insane, right? But he's so well written, and this is such a good opening line. I mean, it's almost good enough to start using it in real life as a greeting or something, right? Your body betrays your degeneracy, or a pickup line. It's probably not gonna work.
Yeah, Measurehead.
Well, it's working on these ladies.
Degeneracy.
Don't say anything. Size him up first.
That's authority. Okay, I think authority is one of the skills we're definitely trying to listen to, right? Because it's one of our better skills, and also because we are authoritarian. The body does not betray my degeneracy. Size him up first.
Are you admiring my morphophysiology?
Another good line. A ripple of muscle passes underneath his skin. He lets you look.
It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle. Be calm, ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich is beautiful.
Danger, because you are not a threat to me.
And obviously, Measurehead isn't really treated with much more respect by the writers than the racist lorry driver was, right? But at least, you know, he's an imposing guy and not just some slob. And it's interesting in that he's equally racist, of course, but first of all, his racism is much more like based in naturalism or science, as you will. I mean, he has a pseudoscientific classification that's super complex and has a lot of lingo, right? And he's very much like well versed in this lingo of his. And it's not, I mean, it's not his concepts, right? There's like a whole belief system out there about Semenese supremacy that's super intricate, yet of course completely wrong. And it's interesting to see these different kinds of racism, both in concepts and sophistication, but also from different angles, right? The lorry driver was racist towards Semenese people. He was basically a white supremacist in our terms, and this guy is a Semenese supremacist. So same belief system, different variables, really. Yeah, I've always found Measurehead fascinating that way. So what's authorities say to this? And ham sandwich is like such a... It's a racial slur, of course, against... in this case, in his case, against me. Puff out your chest, still say nothing.
What is this androgynous display of sexual maturity?
He looks down at you, taking stock of your physique. And obviously, as in all hard right philosophies or concepts, also in Measureheads, racism, this racism is very much tied to patriarchy and to a, let's say, very limited view of masculinity that really looks down on anything like female-coded or even androgynous.
You hear your heart pumping, fast and irregular. Your joints ache and you feel old, but still alive, somehow.
I should have had some booze before this talk, I think, right?
Stop it! You are embarrassing yourself in front of this woman and your pedomorphic friend.
Right, everything ties into there, like, right, pedophilia, pedomorphic, oh my god, this is so racist. Yeah, Kim.
This display of weakness may appeal to older women with a stronger maternal instinct, but it is a liability here on Battlefield Martinez.
Jean-Luc, his body is betraying his degeneracy pretty hard. Maybe you can ask him to leave.
My body does not betray my degeneracy.
You have succumbed to
Alcohol. His face contorts in disgust, as if he were smelling a dead rat. So he's not only racist and sexist, he's also straight edge, apparently.
You reek of it. An invisible sword of Folderol emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick.
So, yeah, that's another, like this straight edge or this like healthy body cult is of course very much so a staple of racist thoughts in the real world too. Some more so than others. You're right, I'm an alcoholic. Now I need to enter the harbour.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is whites in this instance, of course. Occidental refers to West, so Westerners, I suppose. And haplogroup is obviously a real term used in genetics, but that's completely out of place and unscientific in any discussion about quote-unquote race, which is not a real concept, right? So he's trying to sound scientific here.
Show him the ham still got it.
But obviously our character is not smart enough to point that out. We just have authority and physical brawn. I mean, both are kind of right-wing answers, right? But we want to go for the racist angle or for the police authority angle?
Willingly calling yourself am sandwich.
Damn.
How far
He outmaneuvered us.
Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world
Great.
eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft.
And that's also very interesting, right? Because his kind of Semenese supremacism, I don't think has like a very direct corresponding ideology in the real world, but it is interesting that his like he values us for being racist, basically, or our ham sandwich race, as he calls it, for advancing race theory, and for being militaristic and being colonialist, basically, right? And he says nowadays you kind of abandoned all that, and that's why your influence is waning.
You dominated lesser
Right.
cultures, like the deformed Himians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture.
Yeah, frivolous pop culture, that's like a very right-wing staple thing to say, right? Also, I don't know what these slurs are supposed to be, but I think like Khoikos, potato obsessed, maybe that's supposed to be Germans or other Central Europeans. Himians, I have no idea. Genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness. I mean, this is like obviously doesn't make much sense right off the get-go, right? Because he says, yeah, we were kind of good ones when we were more racist, and our ideology was like predicated on domination, so our ideology was more right-wing, and somehow that has something to do with genetics too, which... Where's the causation there, Measurehead? How did our genetics change? Because we became dependent on Al Ghul, our genetics changed? What is it? Is it like behavior? Is it culture? Or is it genetics? Not making a lot of sense.
You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
You know it. Push him out of the way.
That is right. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war.
I like how this is like written always on like two levels, right? Measure is always talking on two levels. While we desperately try to get something accomplished that's very practical here, right? Like getting past him and pressing that button. He's always making this talk about something bigger as well, like always about, you know, the relations between the Semenese and the ham sandwich people, while at the same time always alluding to the situation we're in, which is kind of cool. Like, you should leave the stage of history with dignity both means like, okay, our time as our people is over now, and also probably you, Harry, should leave with dignity before I punch a hole in your head.
Bring your troops to the Semenese Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you.
Yeah, and obviously he's roasting us here, right? But he's doing it with a more abstract argument.
The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexualité you call art, and your microcephalics call...
Oh, there's everything in here, right? Straight edge with the Al Ghul. He's roasting me personally, of course, but also what he perceives as the weakness of our people. There is homophobia in it. There is a disregard for art, for the arts, which is also very common in right-wing thought. And there is phrenology, right, which is the study of skulls, which is, when it comes to humans, something completely unscientific too, that so-called like race theory or science makes use of quite a bit, and has done so actually since the literal Nazis, who did that a lot, like measure skulls to subdivide people.
This is your chance. He's talking. Rip into him with
nice.
a punch and catch him off guard. No, don't rip into anyone. You're sensitive.
I'm not sensitive.
Remember? Communicate.
Down with it. Knock him out. Suggestion is against it. Oh. Also, we only have 17%. You serve the Union, don't you? Aren't they white?
Oh, don't be vulgar. White or not
Has it?
little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that.
He turns his eyes towards the harbour, seemingly bored with you.
There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden, however.
Yeah, but you still serve them. How does that factor into your life?
Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital. Something your race, naivistic communists, never did.
And another thing, and I'm gonna have a longer talk about this later on, I think, that this game does very well is use words that don't exactly correspond to the real world, like polycultural capital. I don't think that's that specific phrase is a thing for anything, but you can kind of deduce what it means, right? So it's basically the same as globalism in the real world, which is like a code word for anti-Semites all over the world, who try to attribute to them like nefarious plans of world domination, and using, you know, lesser peoples to undermine the strong cultures and control them that way. And polycultural capital goes in a very similar direction. Something your race, naivistic communists, so, you know, communists are naive about race, they don't consider it. That's what he's saying here. This is all very interesting, of course, because Claire doesn't really fit into his view of an ideal man at all, right? Not only because he's not Semenese, but also because he, let's say, doesn't reflect his view of what like a good, disciplined, strong human body should look like.
Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic.
I mean, this doesn't make sense much, right? Race naivistic communism and then individualism as well. He's basically just throwing insults out there because he doesn't really know what we are yet when it comes to ideology. Because obviously, communism and individualism aren't exactly the same. So he's either guessing we're a communist, or maybe we're a neoliberal, ultra-liberal. And of course he is against both. Individualism is my jam. My jam is a mysterious fourth thing.
Jam. individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs?
We also a superstar crop, right? So I don't exactly know if disco or rock is better. But I'm not a rebel, so let's say I've gotten it from disco actually.
Offshoots of the Semenese people invented disco while having sex under the influence of cocaine.
Sounds like a pretty rad time to me.
Upon my race. But what is done is done.
So he's against art. He's obviously against sex for pleasure. It's only for procreation, right? He's against drugs. Seems like a pretty like boring and square guy. Isn't that right, Measurehead?
I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Semenese race.
I've recently experienced head trauma.
I can see that. The Semenese are the South Island race. Haplogroup A4A. The rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the Areopagites of ancient Pericarnassus and arrived here 4,000 years ago. We are the future. That is all you need to know.
So you're born and raised on the islands before you moved to Revachol.
I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulimbuir are with me in my genetic
dreams.
I see young Semenese women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from the Pale.
Immaculate conception. This is, yeah, we're not gonna say understood here, because this is interesting. He says he's Semenese, and then we're like, okay, so you're from the islands, and he's like, no, I'm a descendant, which means he wasn't born on the islands, which of course, I mean, the thing is it matters to him, right? And it's kind of a wedge we can drive into his ideology, because it's kind of a contradiction, I think, to his mind. And it's probably something he's wrestling with. So you did come from the islands, so you did not come from the islands.
No. I have heard about it on the radio.
On the radio, right? So the culture is ruining you, I suppose.
I would be appreciative if you did not further chase this line of inquiry in front of the women.
So you're not really Semenese, you're just from Revachol.
I'm from Couronne. And no, it is not just in Revachol. The city is central to the Semenese strategy. Spreading through its trade networks, our culture will dominate the world. You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today. You have extinction to come to terms with, and never getting into the harbour.
See, always both levels. Like the more abstract, historical level, and then the right here, right now level. Kim, what do you think about this?
I think this racist is better than the last, but the next racist will be the really good one.
He's of course being facetious here. I like the previous one better, actually. He seems surprised at your choice of racist, but then slowly nods.
That is understandable. The previous racist was probably an Occidental and did not prove a real adversary.
These cops are just jealous, Jean-Luc.
Any change here? What are these tattoos of yours supposed to mean?
Racists are generally not very good examples of their race.
Oh, look at him here having a moment of reflection.
I am not
Of course.
like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull
Great.
and features. This should dispel any doubt.
I was like craniometric, so his cranium is referenced. And again, I'm not sure if that's like a real term that's used in this racist ideology, but phrenology certainly is. And he has that grid on his skull to permanently mark his craniometric perfection. Beautiful.
True, that is a noble cranium, but you got a hard noggin yourself.
You're sure I'm not craniometrically superior to you?
You exhibit forward projection of the jaw, indicative of schizophrenia and sexual inaccountability.
Oh, you can
From
see all that in
purely
a
aesthetic
jaw.
standpoint, the dimple in your jaw makes you look like a baby. This is not craniometry, just an observation.
I like that he's like, yeah, this is not part of my super objective science. That's just an observation by me. I like that he's specifically going for the jaw part of the skull, right? Because in some weird modern trends, like you know, the incel subculture, there's weirdly a lot of talk about skulls and more specifically about jaw shapes too, right? Where they're basically advancing the idea that your skull shape is what makes you attractive, what makes you a Chad or a virgin, and especially like a good strong jaw like Measurehead has here will help you with the ladies. And that obviously goes weirdly into like a Nazi phrenology kind of vibe. What else?
It is impossible to see any more of your bone structure. It is covered in the ravages of Al-Hul. From what remain of your features, I can see fleshy lips, baldness of the head.
I don't see any
arms
boldness.
relative to lower limbs. This leads me to conclude you are not a police officer. You are a common criminal, an offspring of murderers and sailors from Sur la Clé and Vesper, and possibly even the degenerate sheep herders of Ubi.
Seems like there are several like French coded nations, right? So there's Revachol, there's Sur la Clef. I don't know what Vespa is. Is that maybe Italy adjacent? And Ubi, I'm not sure. I think we're gonna meet a character from Ubi. Isn't that oh, I remember. That's Scotland, right? Scottish coded. Because we're gonna meet one worker later on in the harbour who's from Ubi and who has a Scottish accent. Fits with the stereotype of sheep herders, of course. And this is also interesting. Long arms relative to lower limbs. That's basically telling us we look like an ape, right? And it's interesting that he turns that around on us, because that was a very common like trope in white supremacist racism towards African peoples, is comparing them to apes. So it's interesting that he's doing that to us. So, yeah. Interesting. So one of my ancestors was Sur la Clef and the other Vespa.
Your racial heritage is uninteresting. It is the same as all Revacholians. Your parents and their parents made the decision to reproduce.
Oh, that's
while
obvious.
Under the influence of Al-Ghul. That is the only reason you are here.
Your mama jokes? Really, Measurehead?
He's right there. It's almost impossible to get it on unless you're both drunk. It's too scary when people are sober.
Right, so I'm still at 17%. I don't know if I get any bonuses for this when I do the conceptualization check. Wait a second, I think I might have... Oh, also, lots of things happening here.
It's clear you like the hard stuff.
Yeah, that's right. What's my lower intestine going on about?
Lower intestine. The term is metabolic and circulatory system.
Okay.
Fascism, Brota.
Brota. What is fascism, though?
Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revershot's problems?
It's fun how they pronounce the umlaut here. In German it would be an Ö, of course, right? Mostly, or mostly, if you want to speak it fast, but generally English doesn't really know how to handle umlauts. So, if we want to go for this option here, I mean, all of them is the right answer for the fascist ideology, I think, right? Let's do foreigners.
Yes, them, but also women.
Women.
Women. Men of wood.
Men of
You
wood.
don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Women need to go back to the fucking kitchen.
I like how aware this game is of, like, how everything comes together in fascism, right? Like sexism and racism, and a lot of other isms are deeply interconnected, and the ideology couldn't really function without any of them.
That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that women need to know their place.
I don't know, I like from a political history of political thought, I'm not actually sure if there's like much to this analysis of fascism. It's certainly one central element. But I wouldn't say it's the like central element. Am I having some kind of stomach seizure?
Stomach truth. You're having
Stomach truth.
Truth.
Why am I getting this?
Because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things.
Good
You've
things.
said them many times.
Sounds so bad though. What if we called it something else, like a traditionalism? No.
You're going to keep your views, right? Keep your views, Brota.
Brota. Opt in.
For the nation. Smart. Best not to mention the women too often. That's why you're the head and I am the stomach. Of course you are, Brota. Of course. A wink-shaped growl sounds from your ass.
I like how it doesn't even contradict us. It's just like, yeah, sure. And this is...
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint.
Cool.
So cool.
Where's it coming from?
From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do.
Right.
They squint at lights.
That's
and they
nice.
solve shit.
I don't think I've ever gotten this. Yeah, that's me. I've been establishing my superstardom hard lately.
Yeah, you have. You're a big, thick cop. Dick Mullen. Salam Rocky Bai. Badass on the edge disco.
Nice.
Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera. Lights.
Action.
With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you. And you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's on.
Okay, beautiful. So now we have 2 new thoughts that we're going to internalize. -1 composure, haggard nationalist. Research time 9 hours, 10 minutes. They fucked this place. Revachol is in ruins. The Koikos and the Kipts and the amateurs with their desert pygmy magic spinning tops, they fucked it. Orangese, liberals and Vespertine moneylenders too. Oh, this could be the anti-Semitic part. Vespertine, Orangese, so Dutch liberalism. They're all socialists, especially the women and the Kipts. You've only a vague idea of what this means, but it's clear that a good, strong state must be erected upon the ruins, if any of us are to have a future. The shadowy outlines of this state start forming every time you close your eyes. Then some kind of superstar. -2 logic, that's fine, because our logic is non-existent anyways. Still seems unlikely. No, it doesn't. Also 1 hour, 10 minutes. That's very close. Very short, I mean. First, let's make this absolutely clear. No one is saying you're an actual superstar in the groupies and cocaine riddled with hepatitis C, strikes a lionesque pose with a mic kinda way. You're not Guillaume Le Millon or Davy Dewis. No, you're a metaphorical superstar. You bring that rock and roll authenticity and passion to a line of work where people don't expect or want to see it. Where some would say it doesn't belong. Law enforcement. So... Oh, Measurehead. Let's save. And then I wanted to check whether there's something that affects my physical instrument. No, shoes is just minus savoir-faire, right? But we could... +1 psyche. +1 intellect. We could get some booze before we try and hit him. 'Cause that... I mean, if we can afford it, they're pretty expensive in this hardcore mode too, right? We could... maybe we'll have to look for some more money. We could also get the bottles from our room, of course, to get a bit more tear.
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says...
No. You need tear to use the tear machine.
Fair. Booze was here, right?
A colourful...
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health.
+1 physique, that's 6 monies. That's quite a bit. I don't know if there's any beer we can just find. Right, seems like I'll have to look around for money a little bit. I think I'm gonna... oh, what's this? Can't remember this. 134, that's nice. I think I'm gonna focus on the money a little bit right now. And not talk to too many people. Before I've dealt with Measurehead. Oh, that's +1 physical instrument. That's beautiful. Okay, so... I'm gonna put this on. That's a beautiful look too. That's right. Ruins full of snow. No one lives here anymore. Like, this is a whole thing with the statue. I'm gonna do that later. Bold slogan. Humanox covers the truck. And then... we have that guy here who also has, like, lots of talk. Oh, what was that? There. Stop. Between those trucks down there. Smokes. Get him. Oh, nice. Thank you. Some great tectonic force has cracked the pavement like an eggshell. I'm gonna talk to these two later as well. Tire tracks. Do you spell tire like that? No. Leading onto the roof. The slush and rain has almost washed it off. Is that from the same accident that destroyed the fence back there, next to guards swelling in rags? A helpline to the company that controls the drawbridge. Hot air rises up from the sewer. Sour, acidic, and strangely comforting. There must be tan here, right? I mean, obviously we could also go to both, like, either Joyce or Everard, who give us some money. I mean, I guess we can't get to Everard yet. Because we need to get into the harbour for that, but normally we could. We'll also see that the working class woman isn't here. Maybe that's a day 2 thing. Book about the future. The government reads your mind using radio technology. Book about Boyadero culture. It promotes freedom and roaming upstream. Book says you must attain a Franco-Nigerian hard body at the nearest gym. This book, you don't really understand what it's about, nor does it seem important. It takes willpower to even read the author's name. Jan Kaus from Igaunia. This is a book about pate. Could talk to a nut here, but not yet. On the cover stands a very muscular man, surrounded by flames. This book has a rose, a pistol, and a half-naked dame on its cover. The book appears to be erotica, but without actual erotica. Alright. Wait, have we talked to this guy yet? Ah, okay. He has nothing to say. I think I've collected all the tear down here. Well then. Let's go to our room. Collect those bottles. Can we do anything
The door is
else here? No. This is the room where Kim's gonna stay, right? There's nothing we can do to it now. Right, yeah, let's get those bottles while... Wait. Did I get the bottles in my room already? Huh. Kim tries not to look at your broken down bathroom door. Oh, right, okay. Doesn't actually outline the bottles then, right? We have to see them manually. I can zoom in too, so there's some more.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful.
No time to rest yet. I think the earliest we can rest is 2100. Unfortunately, no full bottles anymore here. I think that weren't there some in the bathtub too?
Yes?
Oh, the sexy dark mystery
No
twist.
response. He just arches his brow. A moment passes. The lieutenant glances.
Nothing.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. Like the rest of you, it comes from a bad place somewhere in the past. That's all you know for now.
I don't want to stop it though, I think. Right, what's this?
Kim also tries not to look at the pile of taped viscera on the carpet,
Right.
or the weird suitcase on the hat rack, or the potted plant dying in the corner. But it's all just too morbid to ignore.
The potted plant dying in the corner. I've only been here for 3 days, right? So how can the potted plant already be dying? It must be a very thirsty plant. I did it my way. This is where the magic happens. Both of them are good superstar answers.
And by that you mean crimes against humanity?
This is a more left-wing answer, right? This is probably ultra-liberal. No, I mean disco. Never mind.
I know what you meant.
He looks toward the exit longingly. 5 XP though. Hell yeah. So... Can I... Oh no, this just gets me... Oh! There are bottles there though. Preposterous. Close it. Okay. Well, alright. That wasn't a lot of tear. Where can we get more money? Do I really wanna... 69. Do I really want to go to Joyce? No, I think what I'll do is, now that I have the wife beater on, gives me physical instrument +1, I'll try it. And then, because it's very unlikely, right? And if it works, that's fine. But if it doesn't, then I'll come back later. Maybe after investing a point in physical instrument even, because that will unlock the thing, right? And I'll buy a beer then.
Hello, compatriot. You have...
He likes us. Great. Can we talk to him about Measurehead?
Hola, wandering man. How can I help you?
We'll ask him once we fail at knocking him out here. We'll ask him for help then. So...
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You have really let yourself go.
Oh, damn! That must have been a 11 or so. Maybe a 10. Well, that was easy.
Just like that, instinct
11.
took over. A solid strike straight into his throat, into the cartilage. You could swear you felt the soft palate break.
Nice. Soft palate is here? I don't know. So we got a 16. So a 9 would have been enough actually, right? And we wouldn't have even needed to wear our wife beater here. We're at 28%, so I guess, yeah.
The man is reeling, gasping for air. Time stands still around you. In the distance, the sounds of the harbour are falling silent. He's open. Rip into him. Right hook. Escalate it. Get intimate with him. Bring the hurt closer.
Wait. If I remember correctly, and this is meta-knowledge, of course, now, what you need to do is the spin kick, right? The right hook is not gonna work. I mean, maybe it is with a Half-Life success, but, I mean, that's not the fight skill, that's the threaten skill. Just open, rip into him, right hook. Escalate it, get intimate with him. I mean, I'm gonna try it. If it fails, it's fine. We have a backup plan, right? See? He just catches our hand there.
Oh God. Wrong. Your head is in his hands, like a pair of forceps crushing you. And you
Uh-oh.
can feel every jewel.
Say it. I am a degenerate drunk.
Take the pain, goddammit. At least take that.
Never.
Even under the increased force on your skull, there is no pain. Just the sound of your own blood gushing in there, feeding your mind with oxygen.
You are a poor player of physical chess.
Physical chess. We could try it again right away. It's interesting. Doesn't work this time though. We do need to pay attention to our health there a little bit.
How did this happen? Your little fist is in his giant hand and he's squeezing it. It hurts.
That crunching. Although I think our pain threshold is actually keeping us from losing too much health here.
You must be out of your mind, degenerate drunk. Say it. I am a degenerate alcoholic.
Pressure on your hand becomes unbearable. Fuck you.
Your fist cracks in his hand like a ripe apple. Pain shoots up into your brain as he's twisting it more and more.
The words to the song have changed. Say, I am a violent drunk.
So Half-Life betrayed us here, right? I mean, I guess this is a good point to realize that some of our skills are unreliable sometimes. They certainly represent their perspective, but not necessarily the truth.
Your hand twists in his grip and the pain blinds you. Still you press the words out of your swollen mouth.
Good. Now leave before you humiliate your homoerotic organization any further.
Alright.
Ask what kind of races there are first.
Ooh.
Classification is core to this stuff.
We rolled a 11 again. Measurehead, I'm new to this world. Help me understand its races after we've been humiliated so much here. I still think we're gonna beat him up later on if we can, but see how this goes. I need to know what kind of different races are there. I do.
There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need an occasion?
Pederasty, that's interesting both in that, like, a lot of racism tries to paint other peoples as both animalistic or as children sometimes in need of supervision, right? And also this whole pedophilia accusations is, of course, with QAnon, it's become a staple of right-wing thought, right?
Those are the Semenese, the Areopagites, and the Occidentals, excluding the Mao.
Don't know what the Maun are.
The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding.
So Occidentals means Westerners, right? So which of the Westerners are supposed to be the Maun? Riddled with eczema. Does he mean like freckles?
A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades.
Oh.
Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort.
That sounds very Dutch.
Wearing wooden clogs on their feet, little green tassels on their hats.
Right, that's funny though that he thinks the Maun are... What's the difference between Maun and Oranjese then? Are they two different ones or do they overlap? Also, it's funny that he thinks they're lactose intolerant when actually they create very good cheese. Who exactly are the Maun? The only ones of the Occidental races who are not the heroic races. Interesting that it includes both Semenese, or so both black and white groups in his estimation, right?
You know them by the names of their nations.
Alright, so Maun is the cultural group or whatever, and the nations is Oranese.
My people simply call them Maun.
Are they supposed to be like Germanic peoples? So Oranese would be the Dutch, and Göödwaldians and Königsteiners, especially Königsteiners, sound very German. Like maybe Belgian and German?
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental
Tassel-centric culture? What?
Tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Who are type then A then in your view?
Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina.
It's Italians, right?
Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea. The Suren of
Also
Sulakia,
Italians.
and even the North,
The French.
Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities.
Right, so you said Königsteiners are part of the Maun, right? And they're not type A, but the North Königsteiners are. So would that be like Scandinavians? Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina. Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea. I mean, all of this is like, it alludes to Italy without saying Italy, right? Messina, Pisantic, like Pisa is an Italian city. Then ancient Meteorans, like ancient Romans, I suppose. I mean, there could be other peoples associated with ancient, but in our usage, like a lot of the times, ancient is followed by Romans, right? And Vesper, is that just because it's a little motorbike, Vespa, Messina? Then Suresne, Sur la Clef, that sounds very French, of course.
The other large mondial civilization, the Mesk.
That's Hispanics, right? Or are they?
As a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist.
Which he thinks is
but
good.
They have a glandular problem.
Violent and expansionist would fit with Spanish colonialism, right? I think the Mesk are supposed to be Hispanic peoples, like Call Me Mañana, I think he's a Mesk.
Overproduction of sebum.
Whatever that's supposed to be.
Sebum is leaking into their brains.
Right.
Making them listen to El Mariachi music. Toxic minced meat based food. Which in turn only produces more sebum.
And who are the Semenese and Areopagites in this?
As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Semenese and the Areopagites are on the ascent.
Right, so he's saying the heroic races can be the Westerners or white people and black people, but white people are losing their influence, as you can see in peoples like the Mesk and some of the Maun. There's some like Königsteiners, which are North Königsteiners, which are fine, and of course the Italians and French, but not all of them. You can see there are not on the ascent, but the Semenese and the Areopagite are, which Semenese I think is supposed to be like, yeah, I think like Pacific Islanders or like black people in general. And Areopagite, let's see.
The indigenous people of this, the Insulindians.
Oh yeah, more Pacific Islanders, I suppose.
Semenese inhabit the southern islands.
Right.
I am Semenese, from the stock of Ulbuir on Ile de Fantôme.
That sounds French too. Areopagites, who's that?
The Areopagites are the master race of the Ile Maran deserts. The Semenese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration.
Are they Mongols?
From Ile Maran to Ansuland. Thousands of years before the Lactose intolerant malrechten occidentals discovered this place.
Yeah, now Revachol feels like a bit like either Australia or the US, Canada, like some kind of settler state that, as a result of colonialism, you know, genocided the natives and then put like a lot of European people there. This is like, so the Areopagites are, maybe they're like either Asians in general, East Asians or Mongols, and they made it to America, right, through Alaska when there was like a land bridge, and became Native Americans or First Nations, and therefore became similar to the Semenese, I suppose. I mean, it doesn't completely fit with the real world, but there is certainly like eerie familiarities all the time, right? Thousands of years before like the Europeans came here. What's the difference between the Semenese and the Areopagites?
The Areopagites
Continue receiving wisdom.
Long-headed. The Semenese are powerful.
Again with the phrenology.
The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericles.
Gondwana.
Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls.
Slender skulls. Full silent, contemplating the beauty and the mystery.
The latter is perfected, adapting. Together they form the Semeno-Areopagite or Semeopagite super race. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world.
Nature was not capable of more.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Koikos and the Vacholier, they are mud-colored people.
So, Koikos, no, Kipt is what they called Kim as a slur, right? So, and Koikos was the potato-obsessed, what he said, so maybe that's like Central or Eastern Europeans, I'm not sure. The Vacholiers, but they're not mud-colored.
To an untrained eye, the Koiko appear white and pinkish.
Okay.
Like the hams of which. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct muddy color. And so is their skin. Unhealthy, sweaty, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries.
That's so stupid.
So
So become more pink if you, yeah, if you're colonizers.
Rule and smoking the degenerate tobacco and for eating potato.
Right, so we were like proper pinkish because we were violent colonial powers with ballistic warfare and domination. And Grad, we saw that lorry before that was Grad made, and I thought maybe Soviet Union, right? So Koikos and Grad, is there a connection? I mean, then that would fit my theory of, you know, Eastern Europe. Tobacco herb, eating potato. And obviously we were once great dominators, or this group, but they are not anymore.
The countless micronationalities of Grad
Seems like the Soviet Union, yeah.
Obsessed with Podat. The only thing they like more is divided into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba.
Wait, isn't an ethnostate a good thing in your mind? Racist dude? So I think Grad could be the Soviet Union, and Koiko is either a slur for that, or Koiko means more so like Balkans, because Balkans after the Yugoslav Republic fell, obviously broke up in a lot of smaller states.
Revacholians, halfway between type A and racial called two mixed to
Very nice of you.
You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
So Vacholiers are Revacholians, which are a type of French, but weren't they heroic races? Now they're in type B? I don't get it. Maybe because we fell so much with the revolution and everything.
Types CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Semenese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Semenese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring.
Pretty sure that's bullshit.
The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey.
Again, with the comparisons to animals.
To ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
I like how he's like has this whole cultural theory woven into this of how all these cultural outputs derive from their immutable characteristics, according to him, right? Also, this sterility argument is obviously bullshit.
Then there is the Simino Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Simino Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site.
So that's his people and Kim's people, right?
The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially
Oh,
when
no.
you meet the rich man. Racial scientists have
Kipps
toyed with
was
the idea
Kim.
of crossing the Semenese with the Koiko to produce a superb worker of Semenese strength and grazia.
Right, so Koiko and Grad's the same thing. Grad's like the state and Koiko is the slur or the
This
group of
will
people.
never happen. The Semenese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Semenese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman or Koika.
It's not very masculine of the Semenese men then, is it, Measurehead?
But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type CF. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on?
Now that we've been through all the types, do I understand advanced race theory?
You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it.
Will you let me into the harbour if I do?
We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way, without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
How do I word the mystery?
You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come instantly.
Let's discuss something
I
else.
cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
Venereal disease.
There is nothing I
Okay.
cannot possibly.
So, Robocop's pretty far. 41 minutes remaining. 48 minutes remaining. 8 hour 48 remaining. Also, we're almost dead. Our health is very low. We need to unlock another slot, right? If we want to think about advanced race theory. That's 1 hour 40 only, though. So we need another level up to unlock one of those thought cabinet slots. It's also interesting art. Fooled by the absurdity. -1 drama. A mass of fantastic races swells in your head. Desert pygmies playing with their own excrement, Koikos juggling potatoes, eczema-ridden Morns grinning and dancing on wooden clogs. Everyone's here, the whole race gang, plus some that you may have come up with yourself. The thieving Subkipts and the Zeolite cast of Fortunates hatching some kind of scheme. In the eye of this race Empyrean, a vertigo approaching up to the heavens, you sense something drawing nearer. Can't do that yet though. And then what is the race enigma? Right, so this has been a long episode talking to Measurehead a lot. We're going to be talking to Kim next, but first I'll take a break. See you soon.